The world is ending. Humanity in shambles. Children crying. Nobody can recover from this. The Dead by Daylight community is shattered. They are split in two and they are arguing like never before on absolutely underwhelming perks. Yes, I know. While I've been browsing the social media for Dead by Daylight content and to take a pulse on like how things are going, I never expected to see such a heated discussion over some of the most harmless perks out there. Some could even call them borderline fun. And this is obviously something that survivors are guilty of. Those pesky little survivors are always in the middle of trouble. But before we get into the heat of it, make sure that you are subscribed so we can continue with this video. First perk that everyone seems to just not be able to fulfill their Dead by Daylight dreams is Distortion. Killers are up in arms. They brought their torches and their forks and they are ready to riot. It's over, survivors. Just pack your bags and go home because Distortion just ended you. Apparently, it seems that this very OP perk, which hides your aura, and whenever a stack is consumed, you have your scratch marks suppressed for a few seconds, is just completely unbearable for killers. They are done. They consider everybody that's running it an absolute waste of survivor slot. You don't count for them. You're miserable. They don't want to have anything to do with you. Killers will simply like not even look in your direction. Of course, we are laughing because if we're not going to laugh about it, we're just going to go crazy. So we don't want that because some of us are already on the verge of it. Okay? Okay. So what's really the deal with Distortion, right? Distortion is one of those perks that I absolutely adore. I'm completely in love with it. And I'm going to show you exactly why. Every single time when a killer is running an aura perk, and the chances are pretty high, let me tell you, because buckle up for this one. We have Lethal Pursuer, Barbecue and Chili, Nurse's Calling, Face the Darkness, Darkness Revealed, Floods of Rage, Undying, countless of add-ons that are reading your aura, and so many more. There's so many instances where a killer can read your aura and can get some information on your location. And they can do it repeatedly. It seems logic for you as a survivor if you're going against enough players and too many times against aura reading builds to pack it up and for you to be ready to face these type of situations. Well, let me stop you right there. You are wrong. If you use it, you are the worst person ever. What can I say? I love Distortion. I'm going to gladly take on the title of like the worst person ever. It's not the first time someone called me the worst Dead by Daylight person ever. So again, not my first rodeo. But Distortion is absolutely amazing. Amazing in chase. And I'm telling you exactly when you're going to get the most out of it. It's when you're not hiding. Because if you're using Distortion and you use it to hide, you've already lost the game. You're already out of it. You're being completely useless for your team. You're being boring. You're never going to learn Dead by Daylight and get off your ass, do something. All right? If you're in a chase, you can get so much information from the killer and just from this perk alone. And as I said, whenever there's an attempt on your aura being read, you're going to lose your scratch marks for a few seconds. So that's the perfect momentum for you to just like run and to try and mind game with the killers. Distortion for me is amazing. I honestly don't understand why people think that if you use this, they have the right to shame you and to just assume that you are trash at the game or you're going to like not even be able to last 2 seconds in a chase, because that is completely the opposite of this. Because we're talking about hiding and camouflaging or trying to preserve our locations and information about us as much as possible. Next up in line in perks people complain about on Dead by Daylight Twitter is Calm Spirit. Yes, they came for Iron Will and now they're coming for Calm Spirit too. And it's not over here, but be patient. Calm Spirit has been pretty much useless. Nobody's been using it. Nobody cared about it. Nobody even knew what it did until Alien came to Dead by Daylight. And with the Xenomorph, this new perk has been introduced called Ultimate Weapon. And you have started to see a rise in numbers of Calm Spirit usage. Why is that? Because it directly counters Ultimate Weapon. For Ultimate Weapon to trigger, all you have to do is open a locker as killer, and then Every survivor that's going to be in your radius is going to scream, revealing their location, not aura, just location, like killer instinct, for example. And they're going to also be blinded for a couple of seconds. Just as with Distortion, people say that if you run Calm Spirit, you suck. But I'm here to tell you that that's not true. Don't let anyone shame you into not playing some perks, or don't let anyone pressure you into joining the meta, because that's boring. Do you. You do what makes you happy, and you do what makes killers cry. I'm going to tell you exactly why it's so good also to counter the Doctor, not just for ultimate weapon. When you don't have Calm Spirit equipped, every single time you scream, any perk that makes you scream or any character that makes you scream is going to proc an animation on your survivor, and you're going to be interrupted from whatever you're doing, on top of like whatever secondary effects may be applied. Now, when you run Calm Spirit, and I have noticed this in the past couple of days while I ran it, because I love to make killers just whenever you're supposed to scream, your character doesn't enter the animation anymore, therefore you're not getting interrupted anymore. Unless, as I said, other secondary effects are being applied. For example, you're still going to be removed from the gen by pain resonance, but you're not going to scream anymore. The gen is still going to explode, therefore removing you. However, if you are sitting on a generator, or if you are cleansing a totem, opening a chest, healing someone, you are not going to be interrupted by any screaming, and you're still going to be able to continue whatever you were doing. You're not going to be removed from any action. If you're sleeping on Calm Spirit, don't wake up, because this is actually a very good perk, and people hating on it, they don't know why they're hating it, really. Next perk is Saboteur. The Sabo action as a whole has been labeled as unhealthy for the game recently, of course, nowhere else but on Dead by Daylight Twitter. And I think it's such a silly thought, because there's so many things that need to happen, that need to align perfectly in order for a Sabo action to be completed perfectly and for you to get value out of that. I feel like these people sometimes don't play the games that we do. I'm going to start with a little bit of a history moment here, but back in my day, because yes, I'm old AF, you used to inflict something that now we call perma Sabo on the hooks, meaning that you could get a toolbox or saboteur, and you could permanently sabotage the hooks, and they would never come back. Yes, we have come a long way since then, but I'm so glad that the sabotaging action still exists, because I think it's like really good. I think it's great when it happens, when you get value out of it. It's great when it works, but most of the time, be honest right here, if you don't have like 4 fully prepared for sabotaging people, you're not really going to have like a bad time. And even then, you have 4 people that are not going to sit on gens, or even like 1 person that doesn't sit on gens, while you have 1 that you're carrying that leaves only 2 people. And let's be honest, with the amount of meta perks that killers have been running that are focused on regressing and blocking generators, I really don't think that that's an issue. In order for a sabotage to be completed, you need to have a toolbox or the perk Saboteur equipped. You need to hover around an injured person in the eventuality that they're going to go down. When they go down, you need to be aware of your surroundings so you can locate the hooks and see where they are going to be. All I'm saying is it takes a lot of preparation. It takes a lot of time. It's most of the times not useful unless you have something to combine it with, like Breakout or Medal of Man. But that's already a complete build dedicated to sabotaging, and more often than not, it's just like not worth it. Usually, with how the wiggle has also changed, when if you hit the great skill checks, you don't have progress added to your wiggle meter. There have been instances where multiple people with toolboxes have tried to sabotage my hook, and they both went down, and the killer still managed to hook. Maybe not on the first initial hook, but like one in the proximity of the one that was there. The hooks are very close together. It's really risky to try and do a Sabo action, and it's just, I really don't see how this is a bad thing. At the very least, I think survivors should be the ones concerned if someone is running sabo or tries to do sabotaging actions, because why? Like when I see people trying to take hits in body block when the wiggle meter doesn't work as it used to, and even when the killer is not running iron grasp or mad grid or agitation, it still doesn't work. You can down 2 full people from full health and you could still make it to another hook. It's just not worth it. We're moving on. One other perk that I've seen people complain about, and I would argue that this is like pretty good. I don't think that this is something that everybody needs to run. It's absolutely necessary. It's gonna be game changing. But deja vu seems to be in everyone's mouth nowadays. Anything that's got to do with generators that does not have to do with killers is just bad. Automatically, like, you hear generators being repaired, bad. We don't want to hear it. Obviously, this is just a dramatic exaggeration from my part. Please take this with a grain of salt. We're here to have a good time, and I'm just here to observe some things. I'm not here to change your minds. I'm not here to change your lives. I'm just here to talk to a camera and to tell you like what I have noticed in the last couple of days. I think deja vu is a really good tool to prevent 3-gen situations. Now, do I think it's absolutely OP and it needs nerfed to the ground because it's incredible to keep up with? No. Anyone that's saying that is questionable at most. It's been really, really insane how we went from hating on Made for This, Dead Hard, Decisive Strike, to hating on Saboteur and Calm Spirit. I don't know, sometimes I worry about this community, sometimes I worry about myself, but that's a story for another time. All right, I talked about 4 of the most ridiculous complaints from the killers, but now I also have 4 that are just really on point, and it bugs me as a survivor main. I really think that these are really great fun perks, but even I can see that something is wrong with them. For example, for the people buckle up, that whole entire combo, it's extremely bad. It puts the killer in a situation where they just don't know what to do. They can't do anything against the people that are using it, and I see this being nerfed anytime soon. Between now and the next mid chapter, I think it's going to be addressed, because it just, as I said, like in an endgame situation where the gates open, if someone performs a For the People Buckle Up, it's done. You can't do anything against it. It just actually reminds me of like how OG Freddy used to be. You couldn't do anything unless you put the survivors completely to sleep, so you could interact with them and hit them. But again, I'm not gonna bore you with like flashbacks from Vietnam, because I've seen some things. Background player is also something that people have started to talk about recently, how it's on the unfair side because it can catch you off guard with the 200% speed boost, and you basically don't even have to like prepare yourself well enough for a flashlight save. You can just kind of linger in a very big area and still be able to find the right angle for the flashlight save. Now, I really don't think that it's absolutely awful to go against. I think that it can really work maybe once or twice per match. There are so many things that killers can do. You can try and fake the pickup, so you can maybe waste the background player. You can try and use Lightborn. You can try and position yourself so that you face a wall, a tree, a hook, a generator, literally anything that covers this much of your face. You're not gonna be able to be blinded. There's so many things that people can do. Claiming that background player is ruining games, I think it's a complete exaggeration, but I do understand how it can be a little bit problematic when it comes to picking up in pallets. The last but not least is Adrenaline. We all know the nerf is coming anytime between April and June. It's been released in the roadmap. Every single time I think about it, my heart sinks a little bit because I love Adrenaline. I've loved it forever. It's the only perk that has not been touched since Meg came out 2016. So of course, it makes me a little bit sad because I feel like it's just such a wonderful perk. Why I'm not okay with this nerf that's imminent, it's because I feel like if you manage to survive 5 generators, to complete them, to save people, to do side objectives like Totem's Chest, I feel like you deserve the entirety of the effects that adrenaline provides. I do understand that it's on the list for reworks, so I am prepared to see maybe a change of the likes. If you are hooked before endgame and you're unhooked after the 5th gen popped, you're not going to beneficiate of the health state or things like that. I don't think it's going to be something completely crazy. But again, this is DVD we're talking about. It may very well just end up completely unusable. Made for this, decisive strike, whatever. So yeah, this is like the hot topics that have been circulating around Dead by Daylight community this past couple of days. Tell me which one of these was the most ridiculous for you to hear. Let me know in the comments what you think. What's one ridiculous perk that you've seen people complain about? And make sure that you are subscribed, hit the bell, and like this video for more. I'll see you guys in my next one. Mwah!